A millionaire walked past a cold alley until a tiny voice from a cardboard box said, "Sir, do you have leftovers?" That one question changed everything he believed about life, love, and himself. Before we dive into the story, please tell me that, where are you watching this from, and what time is it there right now? Let's share hearts across the world. Benjamin's polished shoes clicked against the damp concrete, echoing louder than his thoughts. The sky above the city wept, a drizzle smearing the windshield of his black Bentley parked blocks away. His jaw clenched as he muttered under his breath, "Idiots, all of them." The deal had collapsed, millions in the wind, and no one but himself to blame. Or so he thought. He loosened his tie with a swift tug, trying to strangle the anger inside him before it swallowed the rest. Glass towers surrounded him, but this alley was quiet, a shortcut he'd taken countless times. The world was noise and ego, and yet, here, there was a silence that unnerved him. Until it was broken. A soft, hoarse sound curled through the air. Not quite a whisper, not quite a cry. He paused. Behind a stack of soaked cardboard, something rustled. His brows furrowed. "A rat?" he muttered, annoyed. Another sound. This time, a whimper. He stepped closer, curiosity overriding irritation. The smell hit him first. Garbage, rain, and something else. Something human. He reached for the edge of a torn-up tarp, pulling it back. A box. Not a shipping box. A home. It was patched with duct tape, old newspapers, and a child's drawing smeared by water. Inside, huddled in a ball, was a little girl. She couldn't have been more than 6 or 7, hair tangled, cheeks stained. A single torn sleeve barely clung to her arm. Her legs were curled tight, shaking beneath a thin towel. In her arms, a teddy bear, missing one eye. The stitching was unraveling at the neck, but she held it like it was everything. Benjamin froze. His breath hitched, like the cold had punched through his ribs. The girl looked up, eyes too big for her tiny face, not afraid, not pleading, just tired. So tired. Rain slid from his brow to his cheek, but he didn't wipe it. Their eyes locked, and time paused. She blinked. He swallowed. Neither spoke. She didn't scream. She didn't cry. She just stared, as if waiting to be invisible again. He stepped back. She flinched. "Who?" he began, voice cracking. "Who are you?" The girl hugged the bear tighter. Still silence. A horn blared in the distance. The city moved on, unaware. Benjamin didn't. Something twisted in his chest. A feeling he hadn't let himself feel in years. Not pity, not sympathy. It was something deeper. Something forgotten. He knelt down slowly, not knowing why. The pavement soaked his suit pants. He didn't care. She sniffled, lips trembling but set like stone. "Are you alone?" he asked gently. She blinked again. No answer. His eyes scanned her tiny form. Bruises, dirt, old scratches. No shoes. Toes red from the cold. Her box wasn't just a hiding place. It was her world. He felt something crack. Not a sound. But within. The man known for crushing competitors suddenly couldn't move. Couldn't speak. Couldn't look away. He thought of numbers, of deals, of towering buildings he'd bought. And here was this girl, this child, owning nothing, yet surviving. A flash of memory struck him. A hallway, empty, echoes of his own childhood footsteps. Was that why he couldn't look away? She wiped her nose with her wrist. Still, not a word. Still, not a plea. He exhaled, heavy and slow. The weight of everything, business, pride, ego, faded. All that remained was her. A little girl, alone, in a box, in the shadows of a city that never stopped. She blinked once more, and finally, softly, she spoke. "You don't have to stay." Benjamin's heart stalled. Because something in that voice told him. She was used to people leaving. He didn't move. Couldn't. Just whispered back, "Why are you here?" No answer. Just that endless, tired stare. The sound of rain faded. The city grew quieter. And a man with everything was left speechless by a girl with nothing. The box trembled again as the wind howled through the alley, but she didn't. Only Benjamin trembled now. Who left her here? Why is she truly alone, and what happens if he walks away, again? Benjamin took one cautious step forward, the sound of wet gravel crunching beneath his shoes. The girl's eyes widened instantly, flashing with survival. "Don't touch me!" she screamed, voice raw like it hadn't been used in days. Her tiny hand darted to the side, grabbing a jagged piece of broken wood. She raised it like a sword, her grip trembling but determined. The stick shook, but her stare didn't. It wasn't just fear, it was a warning. This box wasn't just her shelter, it was her boundary, her castle, and he was the enemy. Benjamin instinctively raised both hands, palms out. "I'm not here to hurt you," he said, voice lower now. She didn't believe him. He could see it in the way her knuckles turned white around the stick. The silence between them tightened. Even the rain seemed to hesitate. Benjamin took a slow breath and stepped back. The stick didn't lower, but her breathing calmed. Still fast, still heavy, but no longer panicked. "Okay," he said softly. "No closer." She blinked, one long tear trailing through the grime on her cheek. Her body shivered, whether from cold or tension, he wasn't sure. Then her stomach made a sound. It was loud, desperate, like a cry from inside. Benjamin heard it. So did she. She shifted, embarrassed, and gripped her teddy bear with the other hand. He reached slowly into his coat. She flinched, but he only pulled out a sandwich, wrapped in foil, still warm. He crouched down, not closer, just lower, and placed the sandwich on the ground, gently sliding it across the wet pavement toward her. It stopped at the edge of her box. He didn't say a word, just waited. Her eyes flicked between him and the food. Her hands didn't move. Her chin lifted. "I don't need your pity," she whispered. Benjamin nodded slowly, rain soaking into his jacket. "It's not pity," he replied. "It's just food." She didn't answer. Seconds passed like hours. Then her hands moved. Fast. She snatched the sandwich and pulled it into the box, like a raccoon guarding a treasure. She unwrapped it quickly, nose twitching at the smell. Then she stopped, looked at him again, still not trusting, still not blinking. But she took a bite. And another. Her lips quivered as the warmth hit her belly. She tried to hide the tears that came next. Failed. Benjamin looked away, not out of disrespect, but to give her dignity. The stick was still in her lap, but no longer aimed. She chewed slowly now, almost like she was savoring something foreign. She wiped her mouth with her sleeve, then looked up again. "Why are you here?" she asked. Benjamin hesitated. He didn't have a real answer. "I got lost," he said truthfully, for once. She squinted. "You don't look lost." He smirked, but there was no humor in it. Sometimes the people who look the most found are the ones who've been lost the longest. She didn't respond to that. Her hands clutched the half-eaten sandwich like it might disappear. He noticed the bandages on her fingers, homemade, from tissue and tape. "Are you hurt?" he asked. She looked down, then tucked her hands behind her knees. "No," she lied. Benjamin didn't push. "What's your name?" he asked gently. She stayed quiet. The rain pattered against the metal dumpster beside them. A siren moaned faintly in the distance. He waited. Still no answer. He sighed and slowly stood. Water dripped from the tips of his coat. "Well, I'll go then," he murmured, turning. One step. Two. He heard the sound before the words. A breath. A pause. Then, "It's Sophia," she said, voice barely above a whisper. He stopped, but didn't turn. She spoke again. "It's Sophia. But that doesn't matter." Benjamin turned his head, just slightly. "It does to me," he said softly. She looked down, brushing crumbs off her lap. The broken stick rolled from her hand. Benjamin's eyes rested on it. She hadn't dropped it before. This time, she did. In a city of millions, how did he find her? And what does he do now? Walk away, or step into a story that could change everything? He whispers, "You remind me of someone." But who? Sophia doesn't ask. She just stares, still clutching the crust of bread like it's something sacred. The silence between them is heavy, like fog that refuses to lift. Benjamin shifts uncomfortably, unsure whether to stay or walk away again. Finally he clears his throat and says gently, "You shouldn't be out here. There's a shelter a few blocks away. They'll take care of you." Instantly Sophia's eyes harden. "No," she says sharply, retreating into her cardboard fortress as if he had just threatened her. "Why not?" he asks, stepping back to avoid scaring her. She stares at him, lips trembling with rage buried in pain. "Because they separate families," she whispers. "They took my brother once, said it was for the best, he never came back." Benjamin freezes, his heart, already fragile, cracks further. "You have a brother?" he asks, his voice now a whisper too. Sophia nods, her tiny frame shaking from more than just the cold. "We used to sleep right here," she says, pointing to a nearby corner, "under that bus stop. We took turns staying awake so the bad people wouldn't come. One night I fell asleep. When I woke up, he was gone. Just gone." Benjamin doesn't blink. His eyes remain locked on her, and something sharp and invisible begins to twist inside his chest. Sophia draws her knees to her chest, as if curling into memory. "They told me maybe he ran, or maybe he was taken, or maybe they put him in one of those homes. I tried looking, but no one listens to a little girl who smells like the street." Her voice doesn't crack, but her eyes say everything her pride won't. Benjamin feels like he's swallowed a stone. "Do you know his name?" he asks softly. She looks at him like he's foolish. "Of course I know his name. He's my twin." Then quietly, almost like it's forbidden, she adds, "Samuel." The name lingers in the air. It sounds too innocent for the pain it now carries. Benjamin crouches down slowly, careful not to move too fast. "Sophia," he says, her name feeling strangely familiar now. "If Samuel is out there, I'll find him." She squints. "Why would you do that? You don't even know me." Benjamin lowers his head. "Because I should have done something sooner. And maybe because I do know you, in a way." She doesn't understand, but she doesn't interrupt. He reaches into his coat pocket and pulls out his phone, sleek, polished, and clearly belonging to a man who doesn't usually speak to kids on sidewalks. He scrolls quickly, hesitates, then taps on a number labeled "Only." "Director Lane. Emergency." Sophia watches him, her guard still up, but curiosity beginning to crack through. He steps a few feet away, holding the phone to his ear. "Lane," he says with calm authority, "I need you to start a search immediately. 7-year-old boy. Name? Samuel. Last seen near the 14th Street transit stop around." "What year?" he asks, glancing back at Sophia. 2 years ago," she says faintly. Benjamin repeats it into the phone. 2 years ago. Twin sister found. Still on the street. This one matters. Do whatever it takes. Call in favors. I want every shelter record, adoption record, and street report from that week pulled in the next hour." The voice on the other end seems surprised but doesn't argue. "Yes, sir." The call ends. Sophia looks at him like he just turned into someone else entirely. "Who are you?" she asks. Benjamin doesn't answer. Not because he doesn't want to, but because he doesn't fully know anymore. He walks back toward her, slower this time, as if stepping through someone else's past. "I'm someone who used to think success meant ignoring stories like yours," she frowns. "But now?" He kneels again, laying the folded blanket carefully near her side. "Now, I think your Tori is going to change mine." Sophia doesn't know how to respond. No one has ever said something like that to her. Not even her teachers before she disappeared from the system. Not even her foster families. Maybe not even her parents. She touches the blanket, eyes wide, fingers hesitant. "Why do you care?" she whispers. "You wear a suit. You have a driver, don't you?" Benjamin chuckles sadly. "I also used to have a mother who left when I was 9, a father who thought boarding school could replace hugs, and a childhood full of nights I cried into pillows no one heard." For the first time, Sophia's mouth opens, not to argue or push back, but because she sees something human in this stranger's pain. "So you know?" she asks. "Not exactly, but enough," he answers. The air between them shifts. No longer stranger and child, but two wounded souls in a dark alley of a city that forgot them. Sophia takes a bite of the apple he brought. Not because she's hungry, but because for the first time in a long time, it doesn't feel poisoned. "If you find Samuel, do you promise not to take him away?" she asks, voice small. Benjamin places his hand over his heart. "I promise. I'll bring him to you, or bring you to him, together." She looks down, hiding a tear that escapes despite her toughness. He doesn't point it out. Instead, he reaches into the paper bag again. A small flashlight, a portable charger, another sandwich. "It's not much," he says, "but maybe enough until we figure things out." Sophia doesn't say thank you, she just nods. And that's more than enough. Benjamin rises, phone still in his hand. "I'll be back, tomorrow, same time, stay here if you can." She nods again, then adds softly, "Don't bring anyone else." He gives a gentle smile. "Only me. Promise." As he turns to walk away, his phone buzzes. A message from Lane. "We may have found something, need confirmation, photo incoming." He stops mid-step, his hands trembling slightly. He opens the image. It's grainy, a surveillance capture. A boy with wild hair, blue eyes and the same stubborn spark as Sophia. Benjamin stares. Could it be? Behind him, Sophia curls into her box, unaware that the world she thought lost may be inching back to her. Benjamin's eyes widen. The image on his screen looks too much like Sophia. He whispers, "Oh my God, is that you, Samuel?" Then, without thinking twice, he taps another number and says with urgency, "Activate priority search. This just became personal." Benjamin pulls out his phone and dials a number he hasn't used in years. A private investigator known for uncovering the truth others abandon. His voice trembles as he says, "I need a child found. A twin. Disappeared from a shelter months ago. I want everything." On the other end, a pause. "Is this about you, Benjamin? Or someone you left behind?" His throat tightens. "This time, it's about someone I won't leave behind." Before sunrise, his assistant receives orders. No meetings, cancel the board, shift every schedule. The city doesn't sleep, but Benjamin now watches it through different eyes. Eyes clouded by a child's pain and a vow whispered in silence. Sophia stirs beside him in the car, wrapped in the blanket he gave her, curled like she's afraid the world might vanish if she opens her eyes. The skyline flickers in the windshield's reflection, but all Benjamin sees is a little girl fighting sleep, still clutching her plastic doll as if it were family. He doesn't speak, afraid to wake her, afraid she'll ask something he can't answer yet. Head against the leather seat, he whispers, "Where are you, little brother of hers?" By noon, the media catches the scent. Photos of Benjamin beside a street girl, disheveled, barefoot, but smiling, flood the tabloids. They call her the cardboard girl, because someone saw her sleeping under a sign that read, "Mommy's in heaven, I still believe." He hears his name tossed through morning radio shows and executive brunches like, "A scandal. CEO trades stocks for street kids?" His assistant barges in during a call, face pale. "Sir, if this gets worse, your shareholders..." He raises one hand. "Let them walk," she gasps. "But your empire..." He cuts her off with a rare fire in his eyes. "What good is an empire if I can't save a child standing right in front of me?" Back at the car, Sophia's feet dangle from the passenger seat, her knees dusty but her spirit brighter. She's munching on crackers he bought from a vending machine like they're gold. He watches her. not as a burden, but as a miracle he never asked for but somehow needed. "Why do vending machines hide the cookies at the top?" she jokes. "Maybe they know I can't reach 'em." Benjamin chuckles, surprised. "Maybe they're testing how bad you want them." She raises her eyebrows. "Even the cookies play hard to get?" It's the first time he laughs, truly laughs, in months. At a red light, she fiddles with the car's stereo, amazed by the buttons. "You really rich?" she asks, peering at him with wide eyes. He nods, unsure what to say. She points at his cufflinks. "You wear diamonds, but you cry like me." He's silent. Those words cut deeper than boardroom betrayals ever did. That night, he doesn't drive home. He parks on a quiet street near the harbor, where the waves hum lullabies, and the city's roar softens into whispers. Sophia wraps herself in her blanket, rests her head on the seat, and closes her eyes like she trusts him now. Like this car is the safest place on earth. He watches her in the dim glow of streetlights, realizing that this isn't pity, it's connection. She mumbles in her sleep, "Don't take him, please, not my brother." He wipes a tear from her cheek without waking her. And in that moment he feels like he's staring at a version of himself. Abandoned, terrified, misunderstood. The difference is, no one came for him. But he's here for her. At dawn, he steps out of the car, breathing in salty air and memories. He remembers sleeping in closets when his stepfather raged, whispering to himself, "One day I'll be so rich, no one can hurt me again." But now, with all his wealth, what he wants most is to protect one little girl who still believes in love. He buys her a warm breakfast, pancakes with chocolate chips, and she smiles like she's tasting a dream. She taps his sleeve, syrup on her fingers. "Do you think people get lost on purpose?" He tilts his head. "Why do you ask?" She shrugs. "Maybe my brother didn't run away. Maybe he got tired of hoping." Benjamin looks away, shattered by the thought. Back at the office, his boardroom is cold, empty, just how he left it. His assistant leaves a folder on the desk. "Preliminary info on the twin, we might have something." But Benjamin doesn't open it. Not yet. He walks to the window, watching raindrops slide down like slow tears. Sophia twirls in the hallway, laughing as she chases a paper airplane she folded. Security guards watch in awe, not because of the girl, but because their CEO is smiling. Later in the car again, she traces fog on the glass with her finger and writes, "Hope." He asks gently, "Why that word?" She looks at him like it's the most obvious answer in the world. Because if you lose that, there's nothing left to find. Her answer lingers in the air, heavier than any stock crash or business loss he's ever felt. That evening, as they sit under a quiet sky, she finally asks, "Why do you keep helping me?" He swallows hard, unsure how to explain the storm inside him. How do you tell a child that she's healing wounds even time gave up on? How do you say that her smile is the first thing that's felt real in decades? But before he can speak, her eyes lock onto his with quiet strength. The same strength she used to survive a world that never gave her a chance. His lips part, but no words come, just a breath, trembling and full, and right before the silence becomes unbearable, he whispers, "Because someone should have helped me way, and I was you." Benjamin didn't answer immediately. The night was still, save for the soft hum of the car's engine and the rhythm of Sophia's breath. She sat cross-legged in the passenger seat, her wide blue eyes locked on him, searching. For once, he didn't look away. His hand trembled slightly as he reached for the console light and flicked it on. It wasn't for her, it was for the boy he used to be, the one he hadn't looked at in decades. He turned to her, voice low and raw, "Because I was you." Sophia blinked, confused. He exhaled shakily, the confession bubbling up like lava from a dormant volcano. "When I was 7, my mother left me." Sophia's mouth opened slightly but no words came. She didn't say goodbye. She didn't explain. She just dropped me at a shelter and drove away." His voice cracked on the last word. Sophia shifted, inching closer. "No one wanted a quiet, broken boy with empty eyes," he said, eyes glazing over. "There were no bedtime stories, no hot cocoa, no one to hold me when the nightmares came. I became cold because warmth felt like a lie." Sophia swallowed hard. He wasn't the man in the suit anymore. He was a little boy trapped in a man's shell. "I promised myself that I'd never need anyone," Benjamin said, hands clasped tightly. "No one could abandon me if I didn't let them in." The ache in his chest tightened. "But then you showed up, sleeping under cardboard, offering to polish my shoes for leftovers." Sophia's eyes welled up. "You reminded me of the boy who waited at the window for a mother who never came back." His voice fell to a whisper. "And when I saw you in that rain, something cracked." She reached out, touching his hand gently. "I didn't want to feel again," he admitted, "but you made me feel everything." He looked at her, not as a stranger, but as a mirror. "You made me remember what it means to be human." A tear slipped down Sophia's cheek. Without hesitation, she leaned across the seat and wrapped her arms around him. He froze. Hugs weren't part of his world, but her arms were small, warm, and trembling. And so, everything inside him broke. Beautifully. He placed a protective hand on her back, feeling how tiny she really was. They stayed like that. The millionaire and the cardboard girl, holding on to a truth neither could change. "I thought no one would ever care again," Sophia whispered. "You made me believe someone still could." His throat tightened. "You shouldn't have had to carry so much," he murmured. Sophia leaned back slightly. "Neither should you." Benjamin looked away, ashamed of the tears building. "Sometimes I wonder who I'd be if someone had cared sooner." Sophia wiped her nose with her sleeve. "Maybe you're becoming who you were meant to be now," she said softly. He looked at her with startled admiration. For a moment, the world outside the car, the status, the boardrooms, the power, all melted away. This moment, raw and unfiltered, was worth more than any deal he'd ever closed. Sophia pulled her knees to her chest, resting her chin on them. "Do you think people like us can really heal?" Benjamin took a long breath. "I think healing starts when someone sees you and doesn't look away." She looked at him and smiled, a real smile. Not one to please, not one to survive, a smile that dared to hope. "I never told anyone about my brother," she whispered. "I know," he said, "but you did tonight." Sophia glanced out the window, lost in thought. "I wonder if he remembers me." "He has to," Benjamin said gently. "A bond like that doesn't just disappear." They sat in silence again, but it wasn't heavy this time. It was sacred. Suddenly, Benjamin's phone buzzed in the cup holder. He flinched, yanked back to reality. Sophia's eyes darted to the screen. He hesitated, a strange instinct warning him this wasn't just any call. He picked it up, heart pounding. "Yeah?" he answered. His assistant's voice crackled through the speaker. "Sir, we might have something." Sophia sat up straighter. Benjamin's breath caught. "Go on." "A boy, around her age, came into a clinic downtown 2 nights ago, looks malnourished, he's been asking for his sister." Sophia gasped, hand flying to her mouth. Benjamin locked eyes with her. "What's his name?" he asked. The voice on the other end hesitated. He didn't give one, just kept saying, "She never stopped waiting for me." Sophia's breath hitched. "That's him," she whispered. Benjamin ended the call with trembling hands. He turned to her, eyes shining. "Get your coat," he said. Sophia blinked. "Now?" He nodded. "We're not waiting another night." And with that, the car roared to life, 2 souls chasing a thread of hope through the darkness. Benjamin's hand trembled as he slowly lowered the phone to his side, the screen still glowing with the message. "We found a boy. Might be him." Sophia's breath caught in her throat as she looked up at him with a mixture of fear and hope. "Where?" she asked, her voice barely more than a whisper, as if speaking too loud might break the fragile dream. He met her eyes, his voice soft. "A foster home, 20 minutes from here." She didn't speak again, she just nodded, clutching her little coat tighter around her body like armor against disappointment. The car ride was silent, tense. Benjamin kept glancing sideways at her, the girl who'd become a mirror to the pain he thought he'd buried. Sophia stared out the window, fingers clenched in her lap, lips pressed so tightly they turned pale. He wanted to say something, anything, to prepare her, but how do you prepare a heart that's already broken too many times? When they pulled into the driveway of the modest group foster home, Sophia didn't wait. She opened the door before the car even stopped and stood frozen, eyes wide, scanning the yard. Children were scattered across the grass, some playing, others watching her curiously, unsure who she was or why she looked like she'd seen a ghost. Benjamin stepped out slowly, his chest tight. Then she saw him, a boy crouched by a broken tricycle near a fence, alone, hands covered in dirt, his cheek bruised, eyes haunted. Sophia's lips trembled, her heart thudded so loud she thought everyone must hear it. She took one trembling step forward. "Noah?" The boy looked up, startled, blinking at the sound of that name like it was a dream. He stared at her for what felt like forever, not moving, not breathing. Then, his small face crumpled. Tears spilled over his cheeks like a dam breaking. "Sophia?" he choked, voice cracked and childlike. He dropped the tricycle part, bolted toward her barefoot, stumbling but never stopping. She ran too, legs carrying more than just her. They carried years of longing, aching, and loss. And then they collided, a mess of skinny arms and tear-streaked cheeks and desperate sobs. "Noah!" she cried into his shoulder, holding him like she'd never let go again. "Sis, I thought you were gone. I thought—" I'm here, she whispered over and over like a prayer, rocking him gently in her arms. Benjamin stood a few feet away, completely still. He turned his back slowly, pretending to check his phone again, eyes misting, jaw clenched. His screen was dark. He wasn't reading anything, he just didn't want them to see his tears. He inhaled deeply, fighting the lump rising in his throat. But one stubborn tear slipped down anyway, and he let it. Behind him, Sophia and Noah didn't stop holding each other. Two pieces of a broken heart finally finding each other again. The foster home director walked over, speaking softly to Benjamin, but he barely registered the words. All he could think about was that moment, that pure, aching, healing moment. He turned finally, unable to resist, just in time to see Noah pull back, wiping his nose on his sleeve. Sophia smiled through tears, brushing his messy hair back with a trembling hand. "Are you okay? Did they hurt you?" she asked, inspecting his bruised face. Noah shook his head quickly. "I'm okay now. Are you okay?" She nodded, then hugged him tighter. "Mr. Benjamin helped me. He didn't leave me behind." The boy turned to look at Benjamin, eyes cautious but grateful. Benjamin walked over slowly, crouching down to Noah's level. "Hey, champ," he said gently. "You've got a brave sister." Noah nodded solemnly. "She always was." Benjamin offered his hand. Noah looked at it, then at Sophia, and finally shook it. His little fingers were cold and shaking. "We'll get you cleaned up, all right?" Benjamin said. "No more bruises, no more being alone." Noah's eyes welled again, and he just nodded. They all sat on a bench under a tree nearby, the golden light of dusk falling softly around them. Sophia clutched Noah's hand in one and Benjamin's sleeve in the other. The silence between them wasn't empty anymore. It was full of meaning, of healing. For a moment, no one needed to say a word. Birds chirped in the distance, kids laughed faintly behind the fence, but this bench held its own little world. Benjamin glanced down at Noah's thin frame and Sophia's tired face. He could still feel the ache in his chest, that familiar sting of a past he thought he'd buried. And yet, watching them together, it somehow made everything hurt less. Noah rested his head on Sophia's shoulder, already drifting, safe at last. Sophia looked up at Benjamin, her voice gentle but full of something deeper. "Thank you," she whispered. He gave her the smallest smile. "I didn't do much." "You did everything," she said. He looked away again, afraid she'd see the emotion swirling in his eyes. For a man who'd once ruled boardrooms with a glare, he felt entirely undone by two children with nothing but each other. And yet, he'd never felt more human. Minutes passed. The wind rustled the leaves above them. Sophia turned to him again. "Mr. Benjamin." He met her gaze. Her voice was softer now, uncertain, but filled with fragile hope. Can we stay with you?" He froze. Time itself seemed to hold its breath. Her eyes searched his for an answer, not one of charity, but of family. He didn't speak, not yet. Because in that moment, every wall he had built began to shake again. And for the first time the idea of home didn't feel like a memory, it felt like a possibility. Sophia's question lingers in the summer air like a fragile hope. "Can we stay with you?" Benjamin doesn't speak. He just looks at her, eyes glistening, soul trembling. Then, without a word, he kneels beside the two siblings, his arms slowly reaching out. Sophia and Noah fold into him like puzzle pieces finally finding their place. The embrace is silent, but it says everything. Yes, you are home now. Later that evening, the iron gates of Benjamin's mansion open not for power, but for love. The staff watches in awe as two small figures walk beside the once lonely billionaire. Sophia gasps as the mansion's lights twinkle like stars, her small hand gripping Noah's. He's never seen a chandelier before, and she's never seen a man so soft. A chef kneels down, offering warm cookies, and Noah clutches them like treasures. Sophia looks up at Benjamin, unsure. "Can we really eat this?" He chuckles, voice cracking. "It's yours now, all of it is." Noah darts into the guest room, eyes wide at the mountain of toys waiting for him. He doesn't speak. He just hugs a teddy bear tighter than any words could. Sophia walks slowly toward the bed, running her hand over the clean white sheets. For years they had curled up on sidewalks. Tonight, they sleep on clouds. Benjamin watches from the doorway, hands trembling as he grips the frame. He turns away quickly, not out of shame, but out of overwhelming grace. In his room he stares at the same walls that once echoed with silence. Tonight, they whisper laughter. Footsteps. Belonging. Downstairs he opens an old box, photographs of his forgotten boyhood. A tear falls on one image, a little boy with eyes too old for his face. He pulls out a letter he once wrote to a mother who never answered. He reads it aloud to no one, and yet, somehow, it feels heard. The next morning, the mansion doesn't wake with alarms. It hums with life. Sophia's giggles echo from the kitchen as she learns to whisk pancake batter. Noah's voice, quiet but certain, asks the butler, "Can I feed the fish?" The staff now smiles with purpose, their work no longer routine, but meaningful. Benjamin joins them in the sunlit dining room, no longer dressed like armor. He's in a soft sweater, his hair slightly messy, his eyes light with peace. He sits across the twins and says, "I never knew pancakes could smell like family." Noah breaks his pancake in half and quietly offers Benjamin the bigger piece. Sophia leans over and says, "He never shares, not even with me." Benjamin laughs, a sound that hadn't existed in this house for 20 years. Later that week, a press release quietly announces the launch of the Sophia Foundation. Its mission, to rescue, shelter, and restore children living on the streets. He funds it without fanfare, without applause, only with purpose. At the first foundation event, he doesn't stand at the podium alone. Sophia stands beside him, wearing a soft blue dress and untamed joy. Noah tugs his sleeve and whispers, "Can I say something too?" Benjamin lifts him up and holds the mic, steadying his trembling hands. Noah simply says, "Thank you for finding us." The crowd doesn't clap. They cry. That night, Sophia curls up in bed, the moonlight painting silver lines on her blanket. She looks over at her brother, finally asleep without fear. Then she turns to the ceiling and whispers, "Thank you, Mommy, for sending him." Benjamin stands just outside the door, listening, hand over his heart. His own mother never came back, but he had finally become the man he needed. Later, he walks down the hallway, past photos that now include Sophia and Noah. Smiles framed in gold, a family that never started by blood, but by love. In the library, he types quietly at his desk, writing his first letter in years. But this one begins differently. To the little boy I once was, he tells him it's okay to cry, that softness isn't weakness, that love found him. He signs it, proudly, the man you became. Weeks pass, then months. Sophia paints. Noah builds Lego skyscrapers. Benjamin cooks sometimes, terribly, but they always pretend it's delicious. The staff now celebrates birthdays, not deadlines. Each corner of the house holds life, not loneliness. Then one night, during a quiet moment on the balcony, Sophia sits beside him. She leans her head on his shoulder, watching the stars. "Do you ever miss being alone?" she asks. Benjamin smiles, tears slipping gently down his cheek. "Not for a single second," he replies. Sophia reaches into her pocket and pulls out something small, a broken bracelet. "I kept it from the shelter, because it reminded me of hope," she says. He gently takes it, places it around his wrist, even though it barely fits. "I'll never take it off," he promises. They sit there in silence, no more need for words. The next morning, Sophia records a voiceover for a small school project. It's meant to describe what home means. Her voice is calm, but every word drips truth. "He gave us a house, but more than that, he gave us a home." The screen fades to black. She pauses, then adds one final sentence. "But we gave him something he didn't know he'd lost, a heart." As the video ends, it transitions to a quiet question typed across the screen. How many Sophias are out there, just waiting to be seen? The video goes viral, not because of tragedy, but because of truth. Benjamin doesn't care about the numbers. He only cares about the next child his foundation might find. That night, the lights go out in the mansion, one room at a time, except the guest room, where two small children sleep safe, full, and loved, and the master bedroom, where one ma lies awake, smiling at the stars. He's not thinking of profits or meetings. He's thinking about pancakes, paintings, Lego towers, and how, somehow, the emptiest place in the world became the fullest. Because one little girl dared to say, "Can we stay with you?" And he finally had the courage to say, "Yes, please, stay forever."